Good morning, everybody. It's going to be a real quick update here from the west coast of Florida. So a couple of new developments has happened in the last 30 minutes. So the surge of water, the rising water now is coming past Key West, kind of like we saw during Ian, right? So they've raised the numbers along the coastline 2 to 4, back south here, Port Charlotte down southward, Fort Myers back south, 4 to 7 here in the harbor, Tampa Bay, 6 and 9 just north of Tampa now. 7-11 between Yankeetown and Chiquasis, can't pronounce that, 7-11. But the new thing I'm going to focus on is what's called I haven't seen this before, it's called Catastrophic Storm Surge Warning. 10 to 15 foot storm surge. This is going to be a historical storm surge, is what the Weather Service is applying out of Tallahassee in this area, which is, I'm going to show you the map of that. So as the hurricane comes up on its track up here to up in this general area tomorrow morning, latest thinking is it's going to be very high Cat 3, possibly Cat 4. And based on the new data from this morning in the Hurricane Hunter, and it's also rapidly intensifying as forecasted, this area is going to see a devastating storm surge. And so let's go to a map, and that's always better, right? And let's look at satellite real quick. This morning's satellite, it looks, it's gaining strength, it's gaining intensity. Strong Cat 1 now, probably Cat 2, probably early afternoon, maybe mid-afternoon. We'll have a Cat 2 a little bit later today back southwest, and I'm getting ready to change water spouts and tornadoes coming up from the south. I'll show you that in a second. So those are the things focused on. Both today and tomorrow, there's going to be a significant chance of not only water spouts, but we're looking at tornadoes also inland. So got a 5% all the way down here to the south and north of Fort Myers there, Sarasota, big 5%. The tornado threat's going to increase significantly as we get into early evening and overnight across the western parts of the Florida Panhandle, including damaging tornadoes, not just a small, weak land spout, but we're going to have damaging tornadoes in the western part of Florida, basically from Tampa northward up in this area as significant tornadoes. So that's ongoing both not only today but tomorrow. And let's go over here to a map here, and I'm going to show you what's going on up north. I'm in Clearwater right now. And by the way, I'm high tide coming in here at 12 noon, around 12 noon. And the water, you can see, is all the way to the top of the dunes here at Clearwater Beach. And people out strolling in the water, and they're walking up and down the beach, right? We're in a storm surge warning here, hurricane warning, and we're high tide. And you see how high the water is right now. It's level with the beach now. And I did back about 4 miles north on alternate 1. I have basically water over Washington alternate 1. It's high tide. It's a common occurrence, but it's already showing you how high the water is. And this water, just think about this, 4 to 7 feet higher than what it is now. Later tonight, later this evening, and overnight, all along the coastline here, especially the back bays and the bays we're going to talk about. That's the area you got to be concerned about. You can see the waves there. Look at the waves now, and that's literally the waves. The top of the water is even with the dunes now, so it's pretty high. So I'm at Clearwater Beach here. So basically we have, let's go to radar real quick. I'm going to jump over radar because that's more important right now. So we've got warnings down here. We got marine warnings back to our south, and these are producing water spouts back south here, and that's what I'm going to try to nail early here. They're moving kind of north. The line's lifted northeast, but the individual storms are moving northwest, and you can see them up north here, and these are marine warnings issued down south here. So as you get back south here, we're getting some probably water. We are getting water spouts offshore. There's probably a circulation right here. I'll just go over them real quick. You got a little bit of a circulation here back southwest of Naples. Here's one down at Marco Island. I've got another one to west of Cape Coral, and these are going to increase in intensity and numbers as this line here rotates up to the northeast slowly, but the individual storms race northwest at about 40 to 50. So that's kind of what's going on as the line's lifting, and we've got some really good cape over the area, which means just instability. The sun's been out. It's kind of partly cloudy. It was right there is the edge of the Sarasota, but north of Tampa Bay, the sun's been out this morning, so I've got very warm, humid conditions here. And so because of the cape, instability to fuel these storms, as this line approaches from back southwest here, let's go to reflectivity mode. And as that line approaches from the southwest, I've got 3,000 capes. And when these winds southeast like this, and this line going like this, you're getting spin ups because I'm very unstable here. I've got a pretty good shear environment setting up. And I'm going to step outside in here a second. So as this line comes up, I've got kind of one chance here. As this line comes up north here, it's kind of a luck deal, but we'll see if I can get a water spout. somewhere as this line comes north, rotating up toward me over the next hour or two, we're going to have some water spouts and maybe even some tornado warnings coming along the coast here as this line lifts north into the higher Cape, okay? So that's what I'm focused on over the next 2 to 3 hours. But the big story, and as we come up the coast here, if you look at up the coast here, this is one of the areas right in this general areas where they have the hurricane making landfall just north of Cedar Key, which is right here. This is kind of the current track as at high Cat 3, might be Cat 4, but they're saying officially high Cat 3, and that's going to be roughly about 8 a.m. tomorrow morning. So everywhere to the right of that, you're going to have a tremendous storm surge, but they're also worried a lot, the Weather Service in National Hurricane Center, as this area back in these counties immediately south of Tallahassee, back over here to Perry, back down in this general area, Cedar Key right here, historic catastrophic storm surge warning. Water up to 15 feet high. And I can tell you, when the water comes in here, all this area, as we get after midnight and the trees start falling, they said, numerous people said, all these trees and these forests back here, which is basically kind of it's in the middle of nowhere. There's thank goodness there's not a lot of people live there. But there's a lot of trees are going to come down here. The road's going to get blocked as you get toward midnight. The winds get to 75. You get the heavy rain up there, and the winds are going to come out of this east-northeast as the hurricane is off to our southwest tonight. That hurricane's going to come up and it's going to track up to our southwest here. Let me show you what it's going to do here on this map. Hurricane's going to come up roughly like this, and it's going to be tracking up to our southwest. And as it tracks up like this general area, up in this general like this, it comes up. As it does that, you're going to have winds on shore that are going to increase. They're going to 30 to 40 this afternoon, and then tonight they're going to start gusting to 50 to 60, and then they'll get over hurricane force as we probably get in that. It's going to be a little bit later, about 3 in the morning. The hurricane force winds are about 20 miles northeast of the center and about 15 to 20 northwest of the center. So that it's a very tight core where you're going to have the most destructive winds, about, let's call it 30 miles wide of the super destructive winds, right? So wherever that crosses, but before that, you're going to have 70, 80 mile an hour winds, right? Sustained 50 to 80 as you come up the coast. So as that eye approaches, you're going to have this wind out of the east-northeast, and then it'll come to the east real hard as the hurricane's coming up, and the winds over here will increase out of the north back at Tallahassee, and that general area on the northwest wall, it'll surge southward, and this everything there, the pile up as it passes, as the eye comes in, the water's going to push in here like just a huge plowing the water all in this area here. So this is what's going to happen. You're going to have the trees are going to fall at your northbound, southbound lanes. The roads will be impassable probably by midnight. I'm going to think midnight on, or really sundown on down south here, but midnight on, this is going to be extremely dangerous, both from the roads being impassable and then the storm surge rising after dark. This whole area here is going to be just catastrophic dangerous. I can't tell you in a way, I would not, if you got family members in Perry, Salem, Sewanee, Cedar Key, they know there's a storm surge warning. They know there's a hurricane warning going. But this is going to be a historical storm surge. And the word I'm getting from multiple federal agencies, they said that if people don't leave, there's a high probability you're not going to survive this. I mean, I'm hearing that officially from numerous sources. This is going to be a life-threatening, catastrophic event like the Florida Panhandle Big Bend has never seen before. This is going to be the new benchmark after this is over for how high the water's ever been in this ever in history. Okay, this is going to be an historic event. So that's what's coming. That's what's happening. I know I'm hitting it pretty hard, but that's what it's telling us, guys. And let me find this warning here from the Weather Service, the Hurricane Center. Let me find this advisory. This right here, that 10 to 15 feet, which is what I'm talking about, right? And then what they say down here. Let me find this. I need to find the text warning to that, because their basic advisory is that basically it's going to be a very life-threatening situation. The other thing I want to point out to you on this update at 11, and this is another thing to look at here right before landfall. Let's look at this. Okay, they've extended it a little bit more. So I'm looking at 110 gusts, 135 knots. This is right before landfall. So basically the hurricane force winds extend 25 northeast, 25 southeast, 10 southwest, 10 northwest. So you have the 25 and 10. So it's about a 35-mile wide of the super bad winds, right? And that's what we talked about yesterday. We talked about this 30-mile eye path, right? Where the most destructive winds are going to be. That's where you're going to get real failures. You're going to have mobile homes are going to get destroyed. You'll have power lines coming down. You'll have roofs coming off houses and buildings. You'll have plate glass windows shattering. You'll have telephone poles breaking, and you'll have tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of trees breaking. And this core wind, that's where you're going to have the mass destruction from the wind portion of it. But the storm surge is going to be all the way from Key West, all the way up to Tallahassee and back west of there. We have a storm surge warning and a catastrophic storm surge warning. So this is ramping up, and there is a pretty strong belief that we're going to have at least a Cat 3. And I think Cat 4 is on table. We've never in history had a Cat 4 east of the Apalachicola Bay up there, back over to north of Tampa in history. We've never had a Cat 4 on the upper Big Bend here. It's just never happened. So it's if you look at the benchmarks, there's been Cat 3s before, but never Cat 4. So we're going in uncharted territory, and the models are keep saying actually several of the models show high in Cat 4. Still have one model showing a Cat 5 way back northwest, and a lot of them are basically in that bright, mid to high 4. So it wouldn't surprise me if it goes to 4, just because the water's so warm, and the speed. Now it's moving at, I believe, at 10 miles an hour now, but with time, it's going to pick up to 15. Then it's going to eventually pick up to about 20 miles an hour. It's going to start moving quite rapidly northeast with time, and that's what we got to watch for, right? So again, as it turns northeast, that's the part that we got to be really concerned about. And again, this is the most important part of the whole warning. Catastrophic impacts, surging days 10 to 15. This is increased. This is destructive waves expected somewhere between Eckler River and Yankeetown. Life-threatening storm surge likely. This is a catastrophic storm surge warning. Okay, I've never seen that before, folks. This is the first one. So this is pretty high, pretty big. Going to do a lot of damage. And the storm surge, as well as the tornadoes tonight, water spouts later this afternoon coming up from us south now. You can see the clouds are building offshore. Look at all these dark clouds. These are storms building ahead of the first outer band south of me now at Clearwater Beach. And as they make their way up here in the next couple hours, there's a good possibility I'm going to see some water spouts, is what I'm thinking I'm going to see. But anyway, that's kind of a real quick hit of what's going on here. And there's that line back to my south. It's not far. And look how this line is intensifying as it comes northeast here. We'll loop this, and you watch this line as they, again, it's rocking northwest pretty fast. Let's just take one of these attributes and look at it. It's pretty fast. How fast? 45 knots. It's moving northwest at 50 miles an hour. So the individual lines slowly creeping north, and as it creeps to the northeast, then these intense cores are gonna, they're gonna produce water spouts. And like I said, I'm gonna hang in this area, and I really like visually right now. I like this area down south there. And let's see if what it looks like farther south. I'm shooting up a little bit high, probably about 10 or 15,000 feet there. So it's as these things come up north, we'll see what we get. But these are you've got some circulations going on here, right? It's not extreme, okay, but we got some circulations down here, not far away now, south of me, and so these keep spinning up. And so as they move north, we'll see if we don't get some water spouts or possibly tornadoes. You see, you got these little kinks, and you see what's happening here. And this is not far south of me now, and it's we'll see what happens as this line lifts up to north. It's down south of Venice. It's coming north, so it'll still be probably another hour and a half, thinking 2-ish, 1:45 2 p.m. up here just in the St. Petersburg area, Clearwater area where I'm at. And I've got to watch these line down here. I'm going to watch this like a hawk. So if you're Cape Coral up to south of Tampa, this area, be watching out for tornado warnings and water spouts coming in from the south initially, and then moving off the coast as they go northwest. So you got kind of a double threat here. And the water, we're at high tide now, and it'll continue to get a little bit higher. So let me show you outside here real quick. I'm gonna go over here by Clearwater Beach. I haven't been over there yet this morning, but I can tell you that it's a beautiful morning here. I mean, if you look north at Tampa right now, I've got the edge of the cirrus. This is the outflow from the hurricane. That's the first cirrus outflow canopy that we're seeing. And up north, you can see some clouds where they had storms overnight. And then here's the. Let's go over here to the water. Let's take a little quick trip down here to the water. Right. Let's go down and check out the water. Beautiful white sand beaches here in Clearwater. It's just drop dead gorgeous. I love this place. It's just a beautiful place to take a summer vacation or spring vacation or any time really. Fall's just beautiful down here. October, November, December, January. It's beautiful. right? Now this coming winter, you're going to have a lot of weather down here, lots of severe weather, maybe even tornadoes. This winter looks like El Nino pattern. We're going to have a lot of weather. So high tide is up, and you see the water's all the way to the top of the dunes here. So if it went up another, if it went up another 2 foot, I'd probably be in the street. So right there is, you got some people out enjoying the water. It's really warm water. And so that's Clearwater Beach this morning, almost noon here. And there's going to be rip currents as well, so you got to be watch out for the rip currents, especially on the East Coast as well tomorrow afternoon and night as the hurricane makes its way. But there's the outer bands. There's the leading edge of the outer bands of Hurricane Idalia coming, and it's they've even got Mamatis here. Look at the Mamatis now. Don't see this very often, but I got some big storms, right? And they're blowing the animal cirrus off. So I've got some nice, little, kind of weak to moderate Mamatis here on the beach, which is kind of nice to see. So it tells you the storms are pretty intense back southwest. And they're pretty big, tall. I mean, they're pretty tall towers. I mean, they're pretty beefy. They're stout towers. They're not the little bitty. There's just a little convergence line right there. They're, weak. They're just building. But as I go south, look how bigger the towers are. They're much bigger and higher, right? So, they got a lot of energy in them, and as they come north, we'll see if we can get some water spouts, right? It might be an hour or two, and then as soon as that line comes over, and if we don't get any water spouts, I'm throwing in the towing for that, and I'm heading north, get in position for intercept later on today, tonight, and tomorrow morning. Okay, so that's the plan right now. Going in, I can't see all you guys' comments. I know you're making some comments on the feed, and I appreciate it. And you can follow us, and we've got Starlink, got T-Mobile. I got to be honest with you, I've got T-Mobile on this trip with Verizon and Starlink, and I can tell you, I hooked up to the T-Mobile 5G ultra wide. This is a tip for you guys. If you live down here in Florida and you're in these coastal cities, go on T-Mobile site and look at the 5G ultra wide. Either the phone or the cell location. They got a home cell. They got a home internet service you can get. It's got a little T-Mobile card in it. I'm getting about a gig down at about 200 to 300 megabyte up. So almost a gig down and 200 to 300 megabit up. Okay, it is blazing fast. I mean, it's like having a cable modem at your house, right? So it is really fast. So I've been really happy with that. So anyway, that's kind of what's going on down here, and it looks like I got some more hurricane chasers there. I don't know who that is, but anyway, that's kind of what we've got going on here. But you've got workers. I've seen the city people put in take out the benches, and they've been putting all the stuff away. So that's kind of what's been going on here this morning. We'll try to give updates. I'll wait till probably after 5 o'clock and give an update. There's the latest. Let's go look at the rapid scan satellites. Go high res visible. Let's see what this is saying. If we got an eye yet. But man, if you look right here in the center, look how it's just got intense, just super intense, overshooting tops at times, right? Hot towers, we call them. But you can see, boy, it looks like a drill bit. That thing is spinning. Man, look how fast that thing is spinning. I mean, it's coming. And then the other thing we're seeing, which is south of us, look at this back down here. There's got Tampa Bay up here, but then look at the towers up, exploding just southwest of me here. See that? Look how these things are overshooting tops here. That's that outer band coming up, and this is where you're going to get water spouts. You got marine warnings with water spouts down here. What's that? They erupt. Look at those tops. There's overshooting tops right here. I don't know if you can see it very well, but when you get tops like that exploding right on the outer band, man, you're talking incredible diffluence, incredible shear, and man, when those things explode, it's like being out in the Kansas, Oklahoma on the supercell tornado day. I mean, you're getting just super energized. This is like a low pressure in the plains, and you got this convergence to the northeast of the low as it comes up, and that thing is gonna it's gonna do some crazy stuff. So that's kind of what's happening right now. I'm gonna watch it like a hawk, and we'll see what's going on. I haven't looked at the models this morning. Let's look at something here. I'm going to do current storms on the site here, and let's see what the latest models are showing on the track. But it's they've been really very close, tightly packed up north here, and they're all about the same. We'll see. I'm trying to get this thing to load here. It's interesting. The stream's doing fine, but as soon as you try and come in and grab models, all of a sudden it wants to go into freak out mode and not work very well. Let's see here. Okay, Idalia. Let's just go in here. Let's just see what we have here. Just give me 1 second. I'm getting this loaded. There we go. Okay. So it's noon. Okay. So the H Wharf model from last night's 6Z run, if you can see that real well, it said basically it's going to be near the 85th parallel. It's technically just to the right of that. Although I think it was 84 point, 84.8 earlier, and so it's close, right? It makes it be just a little bit. So it's a Cat 2, and it just keeps dropping. 951, 940. If it gets past Tampa here at about midnight tonight, okay, it just goes into super bomb mode. It plummets. It goes. That's probably when we're going to go into Cat 3 to high Cat 3, and then it's thinking about, hey, I might be Cat 4. I don't know. It's there you go. I mean, it's 935, the 109 nights, your Cat 4 there, and your borderline just under Cat 5, your Cat 4, high Cat, very high Cat 4, borderline Cat 5, 937 millibars. Tallahassee's about right there. It's like southwest of Tallahassee, moving up in this bay. A lot of models are in this upper part of this bay here, right? So we'll see what happens. And I'm going to watch it like a hawk. And basically, what I do at this point is I look at radar. The models are fine, but really what I want to watch is where is the eye at? Where's the satellite? Where's the eye at? And where's it tracking? That's all I care about, right? That's all you really need to know. And that's what I watch, right? Is going to be the radar. So I'm going to not really pay attention to necessarily the models anymore today. I've just got radar. It tells me exactly where the eye is. And then I compare it to, okay, I've got a tornado warning. Here we go. Tornado warning just happened. Here we go, guys. So tornado wind at Marco Island, south of me now. Tornado warning. Water spouts coming on shore. There's the tornado right there. I can see the hook on it. So here we go. Tornado. Okay, Marco, you got multiple spin ups there. Can't see it really strong. That's from Key West. Key West is reporting some. That's wind damage. That's automatic wind gust. See what they're gusting to. 39 tropical storm force winds. Most of it 34, 39 miles an hour at Key West. And let's go to the east there. That's another warning 41. Gust at 36 knots. 41 at that mesonet side. So tropical storm force winds are up. We got a brand new tornado warning now at Marco Island, with very intense storms coming both just northwest of Marco Island and south of Marco Island. So tornado warnings now coming in Marco Island. They're going to come up Naples, just like we've been talking about. Okay, the other thing we got to watch now, and they're back building, unzippering as we call it in the business, and that is you got this line is starting to unzip or overlaying back north here, right? Or back southwest, I should say, southeast, excuse me. And as these develop and start doing this, as they come across here, you got to start watching for additional tornadoes, not only with this back band, with this leading band, right? It's south of Sarasota. It's getting really dark south. So as this back builds, this main line starts back building here, you're probably going to get water spouts, and you're going to start getting tornadoes. These back storms here start getting beefy. You're going to start getting tornadoes doing this, and water spouts both onshore and offshore, right? Now the models yesterday morning and some last night, but yesterday they were hitting it really hard. They said between 2 and 4 today, and so far it may verify pretty good, actually, is that it says there's just swarms of water spouts and tornadoes in this general area this afternoon, okay? Kind of like that. Just ballparkish, right? So we'll see what happens. The storm's coming up. The line's getting more intense. And here's a brand new warning now. They got a huge, this is going to be a marine warning, cover a big area. Gulf waters, it covers a big area. Special marine warning, National Weather Service Miami, coastal waters. It's a big warning. 50 nautical miles. Water spots located in lane extending from 33 miles nautical miles southwest of Captiva to 11 miles southeast of R Tower to 15 nautical miles north of Contents Key, moving north at 20-25 knots. Warning: water spouts, overturned boats create local hazards for sea. Right, and it gives you all the places under the warning. So we've got a number of water spouts rapidly developing now back southwest of Marco Island. I've got tornado warnings where the more intense storms and potential of damaging tornadoes are starting to develop now along the southwest coast of Florida, Marco Island, south of Naples. This is the areas developing. These new storms, they're not tornado. They're not tornadoing right now. It's this new line forming, so we're going to have multiple lines. And actually, our Barron model, in-house Barron model where we work at, it showed multiple lines of supercells and possible tornadic storms, and that is what's developing. We showed 3 lines developing this afternoon. So hats off to our in-house Barron model. The Barron model it's doing awesome. I mean, I got to be honest, tell you right now, it's doing awesome. It's when you see 3 lines of storms coming, and that's what our model predicted really about 36 hours ago, and it's happening. You got to say, well, that's pretty good, right? Listen to the warnings. You got family members on the coast, tell them please evacuate, right? Especially in the storm surge in the low-lying areas. If you got any family members in mobile homes, from Tampa northward, especially up in the Big Bend area, there's just going to be catastrophic damage. And when that eye comes ashore, because it's moving at 20, maybe even faster than 20, on Wednesday, tomorrow morning, when the eye comes on shore and rockets to the northeast, to the northwest of Jacksonville there, you're going to have damage well inland. That's going to be that's going to be in the, let me go back to my map here. There's so many little towns up there. It's hard to cover all of them, remember all of them off the top of your head. If you lived here all the time, you'd be different. But, Perry, Madison, Live Oak, Branford, High Springs, Lake City, you're going to have a lot of damage, wind damage, power lines, tree lines down. You could have extensive damage from the eye of landfall, depending on the track. Cross City, Branford, Lake City, Live Oak, Mayo, High Springs, immediately northwest of Gainesville, possibly in Gainesville, if it comes into the right, a little bit slower, a little bit far to the right. But this area right here, I'm worried about it. Very bad damage. Roofs coming off houses, power lines coming down. I expect extreme destruction winds in this area, okay? Just be prepared. If you live anywhere from Brunswick, Waycross, Georgia, Valdosta, St. Mary's, all the way back down to Lake City, Branford, prepare for damaging winds, and likely you're going to lose power. Roads are going to be impassable as this big wind swath comes out. So get your gas today. Get cash out. Remember, you got to get cash out. If there's no power, you can't buy gas. Cash is king when there's no power. If you don't have no power a couple of weeks, you need to do that. Also, if you're up in this area, you're still at home, you're still in an apartment, you're still in wherever you're located, fill up your bathtub with water. Do it today. Sounds crazy, you know the drill. And you got a lot of new people in Florida from different states over the last couple of years. Fill the bathtub up with water. Because as you lose power up here, the water treatment plants and the water towers lose their pumping capabilities. Some of them have backup generators. Sometimes they run a day or two. Sometimes they go out when the power goes out, right? So you'll lose water pressure with time, especially if power's out a couple of weeks. So if you have water in your bathtub, multiple bathtubs, right, preferably, that you can dip it, 1 gallon barrel and then dump it in the stool after you go to the bathroom, and it flushes the stool for you, right? Also, I'd put extra water cans in the freezer. Freeze as much ice as possible in the freezer. Do it now. Also, before the power goes out, if you, depending on your situation, turn the air conditioner down as low as you can get it. Like tonight, right? Today and tonight, cool your house down, cool your apartment down, because you go out power, it's going to get really hot, really steamy, and really miserable when the power goes out, especially up in this big wind swath up in here. And I can tell you, after done a number of these, when you, days after, and it's in the 90s, upper 90s, high humidity, there's no air, there's no power, no food, no gas, you're miserable. Okay, that's the bottom line. It's a miserable deal. So anyway, that's kind of my uptake for right now. That's my best advice. We'll give you more information later. Once we figure out the eye, I'm basically, I'm not even watching models the rest of the day. Still got the active tornado warning, and let's go to Key West radar, the Key West radar. There's the eye, guys. I mean, it is, and it's going. I mean, it's almost in that really good, where I can see it really good in the sense of it's just outside. It's really just outside of the really good coverage area, right? So you get Key West. I'm out 170 miles for Doppler coverage. That's pretty far out, right? Really, you want to really be at like 100 miles or less for a really good velocity couplet. Reflectivity can see it, and if we loop this, we can obviously see the eye there, and let's let it loop here. And another thing I do on the radar, and we can do this on multiple. What I'll do is let me stop this where it's at now, and I'll do this. Let me see if I can make this work. Here's the eye. It's getting smaller and smaller, and then I'll loop it, and you can go back and you can kind of say, hey, is this thing moving northwest? Now, one of the things I'm seeing happening right now, it jogged to the northeast this morning as it came off Cuba, the western tip of Cuba, jogged northeast, kind of like did it stair step to the northeast, and as the day goes on, and I'm seeing it happen right now, it's funny it's happening because I was going to tell you what's going to happen. So even though it's been to the right of the track, right now the center should jog back to the left and get back on track where the hurricane center has basically where the eye is going to track, right? So that should be very close to where it's going, and you see the eye's getting smaller and smaller. And what we're looking for, I'm gonna stop the loop here. What we're looking for as the eye continues to get stronger and stronger, as we're looking for this to completely close off. It's filling in, and I'm starting to get a very tiny eye wall inside here. Let me measure it across now. The eye wall here is it's 12, 14 miles, okay? And as the thing continues to intensify, this eye should get smaller and smaller and smaller to a pinhole, maybe a 5-mile diameter. It's about 12 to 15, so it's a pretty good size eye wall. But watch the radar at Tampa and Key West, and when you start seeing this area here, which we're starting to get right here in this area, you start getting these 50, 60 dBZs. When you see that completely rounded, it's closed off. It's a hurricane. Its eye wall's already there. But as this starts to get into that solid red, yellows and reds all around the eye, you're going into beast mode, right? And when it goes into solid red and you've got that really concentric eye, which will probably happen as we get toward this evening, as it approaches west-southwest of Tampa offshore about 100 miles, you're going to see it go into a kind of buzzsaw mode, as we say, in the weather business. But the eye wall is intensifying. The hurricane's intensifying. I can tell by looking at radar without even the hurricane hunter data out there. We know it's intensifying. It's a Cat 1, high Cat 1, going to Cat 2, probably later this afternoon. Cat 2 as it goes off the coast here of southwest Florida, and it's west of Tampa here, about 100 miles. But we're going to likely have a Cat 2 offshore. Then it goes up to Cat 3 as we get on farther north. So Cat 2 back in this general area, probably in the 5, 6 o'clock, and then Cat 3 back to the west here, and then it starts making its final assault to the up in the Big Bend, and either a high Cat 3 or a Cat 4 at landfall, with devastation both in structurals and catastrophic storm surge, unprecedented storm surge in the Big Bend area, right? So that's the message, guys. I can't hit it any harder than I'm hitting it. If you know you're in the flood threat area, this will be, you can't compare this to Hermine, any of the big ones. Ivan, trying to think of all the ones I've went through, I've chased. Gustav, oh my gosh, Michael was west of there, but you can't compare it to anything that's been in there in the past 125 years. This is going to set the new benchmark for, especially if it goes to Cat 4, it's going to set an all-time new benchmark ever. But it's going to be right on the cusp of the all-time most powerful hurricane in the northeast Big Bend area. It's flirting with that, and it's increasingly look like that's probably going to happen, right? Especially on the storm surge side. So anyway, that's enough. I'll let you guys go. We'll check back with you guys a little bit later today. Okay, everybody, please be safe today. It's going to be a big day, very important day.